Has all the makings of getting just a little bit ugly when UCLA takes on Oklahoma today. UCLA, worst attendance they've had in a quarter of a century, fewest points and rushing yards of any Power 5 team that's played 2 games. We're breaking out the panic button here. Does UCLA need to panic over that?
No, I don't think so, because Coach Kelly's a proven record as a college coach. He's a winner, and he'll have a little extra time to get his own players in there. And remember one thing, beating USC last year didn't hurt him anything. He beat the Trojans last year.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to go ahead and push the button. I mean, to me, I know Chip Kelly's done a lot of proving, but he's always proved on the offensive side of the football. 261 yards and 218 yards in both your first games in a day in offense where defenses are always trying to catch up. Like, Chip's got some finding out to do. He's got to find him a quarterback that can run his offense, but I'm pretty panicked. I don't know about y'all.
And the thing is, when he was at Oregon, they ran the ball. I mean, it was 350 yards a game on the ground, and I don't know if you can just, well, let's wait till he gets his players kind of thing. You gotta go with what you have. It's a young team, but it could be demoralizing to start 0-3. You're not even really getting going into the conference play in the Pac-12. So they're not going to win today, but I wouldn't be surprised if they can compete and play better than they have, especially the first half of the game.
Before I press the panic button, I need to see how competitive they are on the field. Like you said, they're going to lose this game against Oklahoma because Oklahoma's Joes are better than UCLA's Joes. But I need to see them become more competitive, have some fight, some spirit. If they don't show that on the field, then it's an indication that he's lost his team. Then you have to press the panic button.
Okay, now they're struggling on offense. So is Michigan. No team in the country has lost more fumbles than Michigan. It's been sloppy. Look, panic where, you shouldn't panic when you haven't lost, but there's a big problem here for Michigan?
Well, it's a big problem because turnovers are something that, to me, players can control that. So, people want to look at Josh Gaddis as the offensive coordinator and say, okay, the offense isn't running because of him. But as a player, we were all players. You have to go out there and execute. And if you're fumbling the ball or turning the ball over, then that's on the player. So at some point, you have to play up to a standard, and they're not playing up to their standards. So I wouldn't press the panic button, but it's more than just Josh Gaddis at this point.
I agree with you on the execution, but I just wonder if the players are pressing a little bit. The offensive line right now just does not look like they're ready to run any system. This was sometimes some of a mirage last year because they allowed their system to hide that was a weakness. Now they all come back and everyone thought they're going to blow people off the ball, and they're not. So 2 games in, freshman running back, they've got to figure things out no matter what system they're running up front at the offensive line. And Nebraska, to me, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say they're changing their whole DNA. I mean, they're changing their identity. You don't know. Nebraska, I think you look at Nebraska too as being a team. Offense hasn't been smooth.
I wonder about Nebraska. 4-8 last year. They go to Chicago. All they're hearing about is they are the team, and you wonder if they all of a sudden feel this weight. Yeah, they love Nebraska here.
Exactly right.
What do you think of Nebraska?
Big Cornhuskers. But I wonder, David, if they're feeling like this weight on their back to try to live up to that hype, because the execution with a really good quarterback, a lot of good skill around him, it's going to get – I'm not panicking yet on Nebraska.
I'm not panicking yet either, but I will say this. Offensively, Adrian Martinez, he's got the talent. You're right. He's got the arm. He's built low to the ground, can run the football. Yeah. They need to pick a lane offensively. They need to figure out who they are, whether it's drop back passing, whether it's RPOs, whether it's option. They dazzle in a little bit of everything. And I think it would help Martinez to know his lane and to know exactly what he's doing. Yeah. And I think they'll develop that. But I don't panic on Nebraska.
You think they've put a little too much on him right now. Tennessee's going to get its first win against Chattanooga today, I think. But the way they've lost, Tennessee, big panic type trouble.
Well, Jerry Pruitt is 5-9 so far as a record. And he had an embarrassing loss last year against Vandy, and even worse this year against Georgia State. Now, the guy is going to face 4 more SEC losses in a row. The question I got is, how long will former coach, and AD Philip Fulmer stick with him after that 4 losses in a row? It's going to be tough, boy. It's going to be a tough situation.
Living in Nashville, let me tell you why it's time for a panic. Before the season starts every year, Tennessee's fans legitimately, not hope, they legitimately think they're going to Atlanta.
Gotcha.
And they're going to go play in the SEC championship, and they got a good shot to win the. They haven't mattered since 2001, but they think that they are. And then when they lose to Georgia State, it's like, what has happened? And then they lose the next week to BYU. this is a major panic for that fan base. They're going to win today. They get into Florida. They get into the SEC. Things are going to get nasty.
And Jeremy Pruitt is a coach that they wanted, right? The fans wanted Jeremy Pruitt. So, and they're looking at 1-6 in the face right now. I think it's time to press the panic button.
Hey, man, to LC's point here, Fulmer hired him. Right? I mean, you know, he was the one.
But he can also get rid of him if there's enough pressure.
And take over.
Maybe.
Hey,
Bear, Miami. Looking for that first win, a little bit of a heartbreak kid. Miami got panic issues or a little different situation?
I don't think there's panic down there. I don't sense that. I think they feel pretty confident in Jaron Williams, the quarterback. And look, they did everything statistically right last week except win the game. They controlled it. They controlled the situation statistically. They could have beaten Florida. They could easily be 2-0 right now instead of 0-2. They get the next 5 games at home, and there's probably a really good chance they'll be 5-2 before they have that Florida State Pitt road trip.
Well, just like Kirk lives in Tennessee, I live in Miami. No panic. They're opposite Tennessee's fans.
All right, what about Florida State? Now, Florida State plays Virginia today.
I told you last week what I thought.
Bronco Mendenhall, the coach at Virginia, says, well, I can't see anything on tape that makes me think Florida State's down. Hey, Bronco, have another look at the tape.
Did you see you had one job when the wide receiver was lined up the wrong direction?
Yeah, that might have been
that's
trickery,
something disturbing.
He gives
trickery.
How
about Florida State's defense? Like all the years of having dudes that we pointed to and we're like, oh my gosh, Joyner's a man. Like you could just go down the list. Tim Jernigan inside, like all these guys, and they're getting curb stomped defensively. They got to figure that out. That's not going to change.
And they may figure it out because they just brought in Jim Leavitt as a defensive analyst to try to figure that out defensively. So we'll see what they do.
That's a great point about Leavitt.
They look confused, and you're talking about Louisiana Monroe. They look confused against. They look out of position. They look undisciplined. Marvin Jones, one of the greats that's ever played there, said some really, I think, relevant comments about this team. You played there. What do you see?
Well, they played poorly in all phases of the game. And the thing is, it was really embarrassing. They got booed last week at home against Tallahassee. Maybe it's a good idea they play Virginia there. I think it'll surprise people. They're going to play a lot better away from home than they do at home.
You know who really was almost reaching for the panic button? These guys. Iowa State, opening game against Northern Iowa in a world of trouble, right? And they're in overtime. They're behind. They're going in for the win. Oh, it's a fumble. Ball game over. No game day. Oh,
Purdy to the rescue.
Brock Purdy got on that pile. He had no business being on the bottom of that pile, but he got there. You have to have courage and valor to get on the bottom of the pile.
That's right.
And you know who's going to get on the bottom of the pile for you? Tom Rinaldi.
Hey,
Tom is our Brock Purdy.
So far, Iowa and Iowa State have combined for 3 fumbles this season. They've lost 2 of them. You just saw what happened as a miracle here to bring game day to Ames. When a ball hits the ground, a violation of a principle that guides us through life seems to happen. Typically, we do everything we can to fight to get to the top. Ball on the ground, we're doing everything we can to get to the bottom.